Imagine a world without light, without sound, plunged into an endless, silent darkness. This was the reality for a young girl who would one day change the world. Born on a warm June day in 1880 in Tuscumbia, Alabama, Helen Keller was a healthy, curious child. But life took an unexpected turn when, at just 19 months old, a mysterious illness, thought to be scarlet fever or meningitis, stole her ability to see and hear. In an instant, her world was gone, replaced by a silent, dark void. Her parents, Kate and Arthur, were heartbroken, watching their bright little girl become isolated and trapped within herself. As Helen grew, so did her frustration. Without sight or sound, the world was a confusing jumble of sensations. She couldn't understand why others moved their lips without making noise, or why she was constantly bumping into unseen objects. This frustration often boiled over into fits of rage. She was a wild, untamed child, and her family was at a loss. They tried everything they could think of to connect with her, but it felt like shouting into a void. They loved her deeply, but they feared she might have to be sent to an institution, forever cut off from the world and the people who cared for her. It was a desperate time, filled with a sense of hopelessness. They couldn't imagine a future for their daughter beyond this silent prison. Just when all hope seemed lost, a single ray of light pierced through the darkness. In March of 1887, a 20-year-old teacher named Sullivan arrived at the Keller homestead. Anne herself was no stranger to hardship. She had her own visual impairments and had grown up in an almshouse. But what she lacked in experience, she more than made up for in empathy, creativity, and an iron will. She saw past Helen's wild behavior and recognized the brilliant mind trapped inside. Anne's first challenge was to instill discipline and patience in Helen, something the indulgent family had struggled with. She moved with Helen into a small cottage on the property to create a more controlled learning environment, away from the family's pitying interference. Anne's method was simple yet revolutionary. She would give Helen an object, like a doll, and then spell the word for it into Helen's free hand using the manual alphabet. For weeks, Helen mimicked the finger motions, but she didn't understand that these signs were words, that they had meaning. She saw it as just another game. The breakthrough, the moment that has become legendary, happened on a spring day at the old water pump. Anne placed one of Helen's hands under the cool, flowing water. In Helen's other hand, Anne spelled WTER over and over again. Suddenly, something clicked. The sensation of the cool liquid combined with the letters spelled into her palm. A flicker of understanding crossed Helen's face. Water. This sensation had a name. It was an earth-shattering revelation. Helen later wrote, "I knew then that WTER meant the wonderful cool something that was flowing over my hand. That living word awakened my soul, gave it light, hope, joy, set it free." That day, she was insatiable, racing around, touching everything, demanding to know its name. By nightfall, she had learned 30 new words. The barrier was broken. From that moment on, Helen's world exploded with meaning. Her thirst for knowledge was unquenchable. With an S, her constant companion and interpreter, she devoured learning. She learned to read Braille, using her sensitive fingertips to unlock the world of literature. She learned to write, first with a special grooved board, and later on a typewriter. But her ambition didn't stop there. Helen was determined to speak. This was perhaps her greatest challenge. By placing her hands on the lips and throat of her teacher and others, she could feel the vibrations and placements of the tongue and mouth to form sounds. It was a slow, arduous process, and her speech was never perfectly clear, but to be able to voice her own thoughts was a monumental victory. Her educational journey was nothing short of miraculous. She attended schools for the blind and deaf, always with Anne by her side, tirelessly spelling every lecture into her hand. Her ambition led her to one of the most prestigious institutions in America. In 1900, she was admitted to Radcliffe College, the female counterpart to Harvard University. 4 years later, in 1904, Helen Keller graduated with honors, becoming the first deaf-blind person in history to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. This achievement alone would have been enough to secure her place in history, but for Helen, it was just the beginning. She wasn't content to simply exist in the world. She wanted to change it. Even before graduating, she began writing her autobiography, The Story of My Life, which became an international bestseller and has been translated into over 50 languages. This launched her career as a writer and public figure. Helen became a powerful and tireless advocate. She traveled the globe, giving lectures and inspiring millions. While she is most famous for her work on behalf of people with disabilities, her activism was incredibly broad. She was a passionate suffragist, fighting for women's right to vote. She was a pacifist who spoke out against war, a founding member of the ACLU, and a vocal supporter of social justice and racial equality. She used her unique platform to shine a light on the issues she believed in, proving that a physical disability was no barrier to having a powerful voice and a profound impact on society. She met with every U.S. president from Grover Cleveland to Lyndon B. Johnson and was a celebrated figure around the world. Sullivan, the miracle worker, remained by Helen's side for nearly 50 years. Their bond was one of the most profound teacher-student relationships in history, and was Helen's teacher, her governess, her companion, and her dearest friend. When Anne's health began to fail, a young woman named Polly Thompson, who had started as a secretary, stepped in to help. After Anne passed away in 1936, Polly became Helen's new constant companion, continuing to connect her to the world. Helen continued her work with Polly, traveling and advocating tirelessly. Even as she grew older, her spirit remained undiminished. Her wit was sharp, her intellect keen, and her determination as strong as ever. She received countless awards and honors, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. In 1964, in her final years, after suffering a series of strokes in 1961, Helen retired from public life. She spent her last days peacefully at her home in Connecticut, called Arkin Ridge, on June 1, 1968. Just a few weeks before her 88th birthday, Helen Keller passed away in her sleep. She left behind a world that was vastly different from the one she had entered, a world she had helped to shape. Helen Keller's legacy is not just about overcoming personal adversity. It's a testament to the power of the human spirit, the importance of connection, and the incredible potential that lies within every single one of us. Her life teaches us that the most significant barriers are not physical, but are the limitations we place on ourselves and on others. She turned a life of silent darkness into a symphony of knowledge, advocacy, and love. Her story is a powerful reminder that with courage, perseverance, and the help of a guiding hand, we can overcome any obstacle and make our voice heard. Helen once wrote, "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart." Her life was a living embodiment of that truth. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the incredible life of Helen Keller. If her story moved you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories of inspiring people who change the world. What part of her life inspires you the most? Let us know in the comments below. See you next time.